So let us start the chapter. We have in previous chapter we have completed the light reaction, in which we studied about the cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation So in the light reaction, these two processes are taking place, and these things are generated, that is ATP, and that is the energy molecule, and NADPH2, that is the reducing molecule, which is being used for the reduction of carbon dioxide. So these things are generated in the process of light reaction, and in this light reaction we have seen the cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. In the non-cyclic photophosphorylation we have seen the splitting of water molecules also. Water molecule splits and give us the electrons and the hydrogen ions, which are being utilized for the synthesis of ATP and NADP. So we have seen all these things, and now what we have? The ATP and NADPH2. So this ATP and NADPH2 will be utilized in the process of dark reaction, which we will study now. Now dark reaction, we have studied in class 10th also that dark reaction, where it takes place? It takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. So because it is taking place in the stroma where the light is not falling, so light is not being absorbed at that place, so it is called as the dark reaction. Then in the stroma it is utilizing the ATP and the NADPH2 for the synthesis of sugar. So because it is utilizing this for the synthesis of sugar, so it is also called as biosynthetic pathway. So another name for dark reaction is biosynthetic pathway. This question can be asked, why it is called as biosynthetic pathway. So you will be saying because sugar is synthesized in this process by the fixation of carbon dioxide utilizing the energy ATP and NADPH2. So it is called as the biosynthetic pathway. Then because it was first reported by Melvin Calvin, so it is also called as Calvin cycle. Then the first compound which is formed, the first compound, that is the stable compound which is formed, is the 3-carbon compound. That is the PGA. So first compound, that is the first stable compound which is formed in the process of dark reaction is the PGA, that is the phosphoglyceric acid. PGA means phosphoglyceric acid, and this is the 3 carbon compound. So it is also called as C3 cycle. Okay, so because it is the first compound, which is the stable compound formed in this cycle for the synthesis of sugar or glucose, so we also call it C3 cycle. So this question can also be asked, that why it is called as C3 cycle. So what you will be saying, that the first stable compound which is formed, it is the 3 carbon compound, and so it is called as the C3 cycle. Then the dark reaction completes in, that is the Calvin cycle or the dark reaction or the C3 cycle, or the C3 cycle. It completes in following steps. Steps are: number 1, carboxylation. Second step is the reduction. And the third step is the regeneration. So, the carbon dioxide is accepted by the compound RUBP. This you have already studied in class 10, that the CO2 is accepted by RUBP. It is accepting CO2 in the presence of enzyme Rubisco carboxylase oxygenase. So RUBP accepts CO2, or you can say reduces or fixes CO2 in the presence of enzyme Rubisco carboxylase oxygenase. Now you can see here these two words, carboxylase and oxygenase. This means that this enzyme shows both type of reaction, means it catalyzes both the type of reaction, that is the carboxylation reaction, means the addition of carbon dioxide, and oxygenation reaction means the addition of oxygen. So this enzyme is very important enzyme. That is why, because when the concentration of oxygen is high, it will start behaving like oxygenase and it will not fix carbon dioxide. So that is why in many plants it is behaving as oxygenase. This we are going to study later. Now we have to understand only this enzyme is behaving in both ways. It is doing the carboxylation also, it is helping in oxygenation also. Then in the reduction, the CO2 is reduced, and in the regeneration, RUBP is again regenerated after the formation of glucose. So at the end of the cycle, glucose is formed and RUBP is regenerated. So the dark reaction or the Calvin cycle completes in these 3 steps. Now we are going to study the 3 steps, how the cycle is completed. Now in this cycle we will be studying the steps of the formation of glucose by the dark reaction or the Calvin cycle. And we know that the starting compound is the RuBp. Why we call it starting compound? Because this is the compound which is accepting carbon dioxide, fixes it by the process of carboxylation. So here this is the RuBp. RuBp, where it is found? It is present in the stroma. It is a 5 carbon compound, and I have shown you with one molecule. So there will be one molecule of RuBp, and this RuBp, that is the ribulose biphosphate, is a 5 carbon compound. It is adding or getting reduced by the addition of carbon dioxide, that is also 1 carbon compound. So 5 carbon from here, 1 carbon from carbon dioxide, they together make the unstable compound in the presence of Rubisco enzyme, and this unstable compound becomes the 6 carbon compound. Then this unstable compound, by the process of hydrolysis, it splits up into 2 molecules of PGA. PGA, I have told, phosphoglyceric acid, or we can also say it is a phosphoglycerate. So because it was 6 carbon and 2 molecules are formed from 1 molecule of unstable compound, so it will be forming 2 molecules of 3 carbon atoms. So it is a 3 carbon compound, that is phosphoglycerate or phosphoglyceric acid. Now this phosphoglyceric acid, by the process of phosphorylation, that is the addition of phosphate group in this. So this addition of phosphate will be done by the energy of ATP. So because 2 molecules are there, so 2 ATP molecules are required here, and both will get phosphorylated, and there will be the release of 2 ADP and 2 PI. After the phosphorylation, PGA will become 1,3-diphosphoglyceric acid. So again, of this we'll get 2 molecules, and this is also the 3 carbon compound. In this 3 carbon compound, there will be the reduction, that is the addition of hydrogen ions. So the hydrogen ions, it will get from NADPH2. So this hydrogen ions, NADPH2 here. So these hydrogen ions will be added, it will be releasing NADP. Again 2 molecules of NADPH2. So 2 molecules of NADP will be free here, and it will become 5 carbon compound, that is the PGAL, that is phosphoglyceraldehyde. So PGAL is phosphoglyceraldehyde. So we get 2 molecules of PGAL. Now this PGAL and DHAP, that is dihydroacetone phosphate, they go on becoming interchanged into one another. So from this PGAL, we will be getting 2 molecules, and 1 molecule of this PGAL will be utilized in the formation of glucose here. So these steps I will be writing later. You will be leaving up to here, and after rubbing this figure, I will be writing the below steps that you will be adding in your diagram. So you will be leaving the space below it. So this PGAL, 2 molecules we are getting. So 1 molecule of PGAL will be utilized in the formation of glucose here, and 1 molecule will form erythrose. This 1 molecule of erythrose will get converted into pseudohaptylose, that is the 7 carbon compound. This also one molecule will be getting. Then the pseudohaptylose will get converted into RUMP, that is the ribulose monophosphate. When it will be phosphorylated by monophosphate, it will be becoming the 5 carbon compound. Here it was 7 carbon compound. It will become 5 carbon compound RUMP. One more ATP will be utilized here and it will become ribulose biphosphate. It was monophosphate, one phosphate group was added. Now here one more phosphate group was added because of the addition of one phosphate from ATP. So it will become RUBP. So this is how the RUBP is generated, regenerated for next cycle to go. So now we have utilized one molecule here. So this type of 6 cycles are going for the synthesis of one glucose molecule. And in these 6 cycles, 6 carbon dioxide will be utilized, 6 molecules of RUBP will be utilized, and then we will be making one molecule of glucose. So these steps, ribulose biphosphate to unstable compound, then to PGA, these are the carboxylation steps. This PGA gets reduced into 1,3-diphosphoglyceric acid, that is formed by the NADPH2, and it becomes PGAL. So these steps are in the reduction steps, reduction process, and PGL get converted into erythrose, pseudohaptylose, RUMP, RUBP. These are the steps for regeneration process. So that is in this way, in these 3 major steps, the process of Calvin cycle completes. And after rubbing this, below what is there, that I am going to write, that you note down after I show you. So now below I will be writing like fructose 1,6-diphosphate breaks down into fructose 6-phosphate, means the phosphate group is being removed from the fructose. Fructose 1,6-diphosphate, one phosphate group removed, it will become fructose 6-phosphate. Again fructose 6-phosphate will become that is the isomer, it will become glucose 6-phosphate. Again one phosphate will be removed, it will become glucose. Okay, so like this, from PGAL the glucose molecule is formed. Now this cycle which we have seen, that there we have utilized one carbon dioxide. So one cycle only one carbon dioxide is utilized. So for means one carbon only getting fixed up, and glucose molecule is having 6 carbon. So it means that we require 6 cycles for synthesis of one molecule of glucose. So one cycle only one carbon dioxide is used. So we require 6 cycles for synthesis of one glucose molecule. Now in one cycle we have used 3 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADPH2. So total molecules are also asked in the exam. So how many total molecules? So for one cycle we are using this much, and for one molecule of glucose we require 6 Calvin cycles. So 6 cycles we will be utilizing 3 into 6, that is 18 molecules of ATP, and 2 into 6, that is 12 molecules of NADPH2. Then time required in one cycle is 15 seconds. So time required for 6 cycles, it will be 15 into 6, that is 90 seconds. So in 90 seconds synthesis of one molecule of glucose takes place. Now one more thing you have to keep in mind, that when two molecules of the PGAL are being utilized, one molecule is utilized in the formation of fructose 1,6-diphosphate and one molecule is utilized for regeneration, which we have drawn in the cycle. So but here actually it is not the thing in all the cycles. So total, if we say that the 12 molecules of PGAL are formed in the total cycle. All the 6 cycle, if we consider 12 molecules of PGAL we are getting. Out of these 12 molecules, 2 molecules of PGAL are utilized in the synthesis of glucose molecule and 10 molecules are utilized for the regeneration of RUBP. Now, this is one topic in our syllabus, chemiosmotic hypothesis or chemiosmotic theory. Now, in this theory, it is told how the ATP molecules are synthesized. We have seen that in the photophosphorylation, cyclic and non-cyclic, we have seen that the ATP are synthesized, but actually the site we don't know where and how it is synthesized. So by this process we will be understanding how the ATP are synthesized. So now this is one thylakoid. This is outer membrane and this is inner membrane of thylakoid and this is the lumen of the thylakoid. Now we have seen that in the membrane of thylakoid the pigment systems are there. All the pigments are found in the membranes of thylakoid. So this is the membrane of thylakoid and our pigment systems will be there in this PS2, PS1 and other pigments which are acceptors. So, and in this thylakoid membrane, inside the lumen, in the inner membrane, the enzyme for splitting of water molecule is found, and to the outer side of the thylakoid membrane, the enzyme for NADP H2 is formed. So this thylakoid membrane, when the light falls on it, the pigment systems start functioning. So pigment system 2 will start functioning. It will release the electron. So here I have shown from the pigment system 2 electrons are released, and these electrons which are released, they are replaced by splitting of water molecule. So we can see here this is the enzyme complex for splitting of water molecule. So in the inner side of the membrane we have the enzyme for the splitting of water molecule. So with the help of that enzyme, water molecule will split up into electrons, hydrogen ions and oxygen atoms. Atoms will combine and come out as oxygen molecule. This we have seen. Now these electrons which are released by the splitting of water molecule, they will be fulfilling the loss of electron in pigment system 2. And the electrons released by pigment system 2 will pass on through many electron acceptors. So first of all it will be passing to the PEA, that is the primary electron acceptor, and then it will give it to the plastoquinone, that is PQ. Then from plastoquinone it will go to cytochrome, from cytochrome to plastocyanine, and from plastocyanine it will go into pigment system 1. Pigment system 1 is also releasing the electrons, and these electrons which are released, they will be are accepted by NADP to combine with hydrogen ions which are found in the stroma in the presence of enzyme NADP reductase. So this NADP reductase enzyme is found on the outer membrane of thylakoid, and this enzyme, with the help of energy of electrons released by PS1, will be combining NADP with the hydrogen ions, because hydrogen ions are there, lot of hydrogen ions are there in the stroma. So this thylakoid is surrounded by the stroma. It is in the stroma, and in the stroma or everywhere there will be the hydrogen ions. Now, how these hydrogen ions are being maintained, the concentration of the hydrogen ions outside and inside of the membrane, how this is maintained, this also is very important in this chemiosmosis. So we have seen in the photosystems, when we were seeing the photosynthesis, when the electrons is being donated to the next electron acceptor, in that donation they are moving from high energy to low energy. So in this they are releasing the energy. So when this energy is being released at the level of cytochrome, so at this place, with the energy of electrons released, when the cytochrome is passing the electrons from cytochrome to plastocyanin, the energy which is being released, it is making it permeable for the hydrogen ions to move from outer to inside. Okay, so due to the energy released by the cytochrome in passing the electrons, this energy is utilized to bring the hydrogen ions from outside, that is from stroma, to inside. So it is increasing the concentration of hydrogen ion in the lumen of the membrane. And we can see from splitting of hydrogen water also, the hydrogen ions are being synthesized. So due to this, concentration of hydrogen ions inside the lumen increases compared to the concentration of hydrogen ions outside the lumen, that is in the stroma. So due to concentration gradient inside and outside, in the membrane of the thylakoid there is a protein complex, we call it cytochrome protein complex, and it is consisting of two particles. These are both are the proteins, F0 particle and F1 particle. So this protein complex, which is made of two components, F0 and F1, it is allowing the facilitated diffusion of hydrogen ions from inside to outside. Now when this hydrogen ions are facilitated diffusion, as I had told in the transport chapter, that what is the facilitated diffusion? The molecules which is being transported from outside to inside or inside to outside, it gets attached to a protein, and then this protein is helping the movement of the molecule. So this hydrogen ions, they are getting attached to the molecules here, and they are, by the facilitated diffusion, they are moving out. When they are moving out, they are releasing the energy. So in this energy which is being released in the movement of hydrogen ions from inside to outside, this energy is utilized by the enzyme, that is the ATPase. So this protein F1 particle is acting like a enzyme. So this enzyme is called as ATPase enzyme, and this enzyme is helping in the synthesis of ATP by adding inorganic phosphate with ADP, utilizing the energy released by hydrogen ions when they are coming from lumen to the stroma. So this is how the maintenance of hydrogen ions is taking place in the stroma. Now when these hydrogen ions being maintained outside, these hydrogen ions are utilized to combine with NADP with the enzyme NADP reductase. So we have seen that at the cytochrome level, we have seen in photophosphorylation, at the cytochrome level we have synthesized the ATP. So this is how that ATP is synthesized at the cytochrome level. Now another topic in this lesson will be the photorespiration. Now photo means in the light and the respiration means the release of carbon dioxide takes place in the respiration. So this is the process of photosynthesis in which carbon dioxide, which is fixed by the process of photosynthesis, it is released and it takes place in the presence of light. So this process is called as photorespiration, and it is also called as C2 cycle or carbon oxidation cycle, because in this cycle oxidation of carbon dioxide takes place instead of carboxylation of carbon dioxide. So this is also called as carbon oxidation cycle, or it is also called as glycolate cycle because the first compound, which is first stable compound which is formed in this cycle is the glycolate, and it is 2 carbon compound. So it is also called as C2 cycle and it is also called as glycolate cycle. Now, the conditions which are necessary for this cycle are excess of or high concentration of oxygen. So whenever there will be the more oxygen in the environment, the normal C3 cycle plants will start doing the process of C2 cycle. Then when this cycle takes place, it is occurring in the sites are chloroplast, then mitochondria, and the peroxisomes. Now, peroxisomes are the membrane bound organelles in eukaryotic cells Now these organelles are mainly connected with or associated with the fat metabolism. So this cycle, that is the C2 cycle, takes place in these 3 sites. It completes on these 3 sites. Now it is said that it is a wasteful process. Now why it is called as wasteful process? Because the carbon dioxide which is fixed by the process of C3 cycle, in case of oxygen concentration increase, this fixed carbon dioxide is released in the environment as the process of photorespiration. So it is a waste of energy. We can say the energy which is utilized in the fixation of carbon dioxide, because of the process of photorespiration, this energy becomes waste, because this fixed carbon dioxide is released in the environment as a carbon dioxide, and that is why we call it the process of respiration, because in respiration oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out. So in this process also, when oxygen concentration in the environment is very high, the plant stops the process of photosynthesis and starts the process of photorespiration, where in the presence of oxygen it takes in the oxygen and oxidation of the carbon dioxide takes place and CO2 is released in the environment. So whatever CO2 is fixed, it is released. So energy utilized is waste, and that is why it is called as the wasteful process. Another thing, so why it is a wasteful process? First of all, the process, in the process, normal photosynthesis stops when oxidation concentration is higher. In more concentration of oxygen, the normal photosynthesis stops in the plants, mainly in the plants of C3 plants, which are normally doing the process of photosynthesis. Now, in this process, ATP is consumed without any production, means and no sugar molecule is formed without any product or production, means the ATP is being consumed but no product is being formed. So that is why it is called as the wasteful process. Now this is inevitable. This process is inevitable. Means we cannot stop this process. Whenever there will be the oxygen concentration or oxygen level high, this process will automatically start. So that is why we call it as inevitable process. And why this is inevitable process? Because of the nature of the enzyme Rubisco. As we have seen in our previous cycle, Rubisco functions as carboxylase also, and it functions as oxidase also. So when CO2 is high, it functions as carboxylase. When O2 is high, it functions as oxidase. So that is why we cannot stop it. Whenever there will be the O2 level higher than the CO2 level during daytime mainly, this Rubisco enzyme, instead of fixing the carbon dioxide for C3 cycle, it will start doing the oxidative process, and that is why it stops the photosynthesis. Now, this is the process of photorespiration. And this process completes in 3 parts of the leaf, that is the chloroplast, peroxisomes and mitochondria. Now, as I have told, this is the inevitable process, means This process goes in both way. Either if the CO2 concentration is more, then normal photosynthetic process will take place by the Calvin cycle. We can say that in the chloroplast, if CO2 is available, in the presence of Rubisco enzyme, RUBP will fix CO2 into 3-carbon compound, that is phosphoglyceric acid, and the normal Calvin cycle will start and it will produce the glucose molecule. But in case if oxygen concentration is more, then the CO2 fixation will stop, or the CO2 which is fixed, it is also taken, means the PGA which is formed, it will lose 4 carbon atoms and it will become 2-carbon compound, that is the phosphoglycolate. Once again I am telling that oxygen if more, then what will happen? The photosynthesis, normal photosynthesis will stop, PGA will lose 4 carbon and phosphoglycolate, that is 2-carbon compound, will be formed with 2 molecules, and there will be loss of 2 inorganic phosphate. By the loss of 2 inorganic phosphate, M-phosphoglycolate, glycolate, that is the 2-carbon compound, will be formed and 2 molecules will be obtained. This glycolate will diffuse into peroxisome, and this glycolate will become glycine by oxidation process, means it will combine with oxygen and by the release of hydrogen peroxide, and it will get converted into glycine. Again, what is happening here? This cycle, another cycle is going on. Glycolate gets combined with oxygen and gets converted into glycine and hydrogen peroxide. Again, hydrogen peroxide breaks up into water molecule and oxygen molecule, and this oxygen again adds up with glycolate, and this again forms the hydrogen peroxide and glycine. So this cycle goes on. Now, glycolate, by the oxidation of the glycolate, by adding with the oxygen, oxidation will take place and it will become glyoxylate, and hydrogen peroxide will go on breaking like this, and this will go on making the cycle continue. So what is happening here again? Glycolate combines with oxygen, by the process of oxidation gets converted into glyoxylate. Glyoxylate combines with amino group and becomes glycine, that is another amino acid. Amino acid glycine will diffuse into mitochondria and it will lose the amino group, that is the NH3, and by the formation of NADPH2, it will lose carbon dioxide, that is 1 carbon. It was 2 carbon, 1 carbon is lost in the form of carbon dioxide, 1 carbon with the decarboxylation process, carbon dioxide is lost, serine will be formed, serine will be 3-carbon compound. So because 2 molecules were there here, so means total how many carbons? 4 carbons are there. 1 carbon is lost in the form of carbon dioxide. So remaining 3 carbons will make the serine. So one molecule of 3 carbon and 1 carbon compound will be formed from the two molecules of glycine by the loss of ammonia, and this serine will again diffuse into peroxisome, and again it will be losing the ammonia and it will become hydroxypyruvate, one molecule. This hydroxypyruvate again get by the addition of hydrogen ions, it will form NADPH2 and it will form the glycerate, that is the 3-carbon compound in one molecule. This glycerate will diffuse into chloroplast, and by taking the energy of ATP, it will get phosphorylated and it will gain the 3-carbon compound molecule, that is the PGA. And if the oxygen level gone down, CO2 level is more, then it will start the normal photosynthesis again, otherwise it will start again this process. So it will go on synthesizing carbon dioxide, that is the loss of wastage of energy. By wastage of energy for making so many compounds, intermediate compounds, it is releasing the carbon dioxide. So that is why it is called as the wasteful process. So I had not written Rubisco here. So I have written this Rubisco. All of you write this Rubisco. And one more thing you should know here, that which plants are examples of which of the plant is here. And one more thing, Warburg's effect. Warburg's effect. I am saying, all of you write it. What is Warburg's effect? Due to increased oxygen concentration, the photosynthesis becomes stopped or reduced. Photosynthesis stops or reduces. So this effect of stopping of photosynthesis due to increased oxygen concentration, this effect is called as Warburg's effect. And the plants which are showing this effect or the photorespiration, these plants are very important to know. Which are these plants? So I am writing these plants. So these plants are temperate plants, such as wheat, rice, beans, barley, etc. And all those plants which perform normal C3 cycle but which when encountered by high O2 concentration and high temperature, they perform C2 cycle. So these are the plants, and all other plants which are normally performing the C3 cycle, when they are encountered with high oxygen concentration and high temperature, they start doing the C2 cycle, that is the photorespiration. Now next is the C4 cycle in C4 plants, and we call it C4 pathway or Hatch and Slack cycle also. Now again, why we call it C4 cycle or C4 pathway? Because the first stable compound is 4-carbon compound, that is OAA or oxaloacetic acid. So the first stable compound which is formed in this cycle is OAA, so we call it the C4 cycle. Now this type of cycle is found in those plants which have adapted themselves to escape photorespiration, and so this cycle is completed in two sites. One is the mesophyll cells and the other is the bundle sheath cells. Now what is bundle sheath? Let's see the structure of the leaf of this plant. This is the epidermis. Then after that, in the mesophyll cells, we have the palisade parenchyma on the above layer or upper surface. Then below that, there will be the spongy parenchyma, and there will be the vascular bundles. Now, vascular bundles are surrounded by the specialized epidermal cells, we can call, or endodermis type of cells we can call. These specialized cells are the cells which are called as the Kranz anatomy. Because of the presence of this type of cells surrounding the xylem and phloem, this type of anatomy is called as Kranz anatomy. Now, Kranz anatomy means the vascular bundles are surrounded by the specialized cells which are called as the bundle sheath. So these specialized cells, they make a ring-like structure, that is a wreath type of structure or any circular structure, and we call them bundle sheath. Sheath means protective covering or any covering. So this is covering which is covering the bundles, vascular bundles. So we call them bundle sheath cells. And because of the presence of bundle sheath cells around the vascular bundle, this type of anatomy of the plants is called as Kranz anatomy, and this Kranz anatomy is developed in those plants which are adapted themselves for the process of photorespiration. Means they are able to escape the losses due to the photorespiration. Now, in the palisade parenchyma, the cells will have the granule chloroplast. And if we see the granule chloroplast, the chloroplast will be the normal chloroplast with the granum and the lamellae. So this is the granule chloroplast. But when the chloroplast have only the stroma lamellae, only the lamellae, no grana, then this type of chloroplast are called as agranule chloroplast. So this agranule chloroplast are found in the bundle sheath cells. Now why this is found in this is not having the granum here because bundle sheath cells are found very deep in the leaf. So light is not reaching to this place, and that is why they don't require the light. They don't need the light, no light, so no light reaction, and so these chloroplasts, they don't have thylakoids or granum, and so they have only lamellar stroma lamellae in them, where only the dark reaction, that is the C3 cycle, takes place. No photophosphorylation, no cyclic, non-cyclic photophosphorylation, no splitting of water molecule, etc. takes place in the chloroplast found in the bundle sheath cells. And in the normal chloroplasts, which are found in the palisade parenchyma, there both the light and reaction and the dark reaction takes place. So this is the speciality which these plants have adapted to overcome the process of photorespiration. Now, what is happening in this process? This process completes in two types of cells, that is the mesophyll cells and in the bundle sheath cells. Mesophyll cells have granule chloroplast in them and bundle sheath cells have agranule chloroplast in them. It means that C3 cycle takes place only in the bundle sheath cells and there is no C3 cycle in mesophyll cells. That is, in them there is no C3 cycle. Now, why there is no C3 cycle? Because these plants, their stomata are closed during daytime and the stomata are open during night. So, because stomata are open during night, they take in carbon dioxide in the night time. So, what happens here in these plants? Carbon dioxide and water in the night time. In the mesophyll cells, carbon dioxide and water forms bicarbonate in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. Means carbonic acid is formed in this by the addition of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. And carbonic acid with the action of phosphoenol pyruvate, it becomes oxaloacetic acid, that is the 4-carbon compound. This is the 4-carbon compound. So now what is happening here? Carbon dioxide is coming inside from the environment. This carbon dioxide with the water present in the cell forms the carbonic acid. Okay, and this I have shown here separately. Water and carbon dioxide combines to form carbonic acid in the presence of enzyme carbonic anhydrase, and this carbonic acid dissociates into hydrogen ions and bicarbonate ions. Then this carbonic acid, by the dissociation into hydrogen ions and bicarbonate ions, it forms the oxaloacetic acid by combining with phosphoenol pyruvic acid or phosphoenol pyruvate in the presence of enzyme PEPCO. The full form of PEPCO I have written phosphoenol pyruvate decarboxylase. So carbon dioxide from this will be removed and it will form, combining with PEP, the oxaloacetic acid, that is the 4-carbon compound. Now this oxaloacetic acid will get converted into malic acid or aspartic acid. Malic acid will diffuse into bundle sheath cells here. So from here the malic acid will diffuse into bundle sheath cells, and here it will give out its carbon dioxide and get converted into pyruvic acid. So here there will be decarboxylation, means carbon dioxide will be removed and malic acid will get converted into pyruvic acid, and this carbon dioxide will combine with RuBP in the presence of enzyme Rubisco, and the C3 cycle will continue in the bundle sheath. Pyruvic acid will diffuse into mesophyll cell, and in the mesophyll cell it will get combined with phosphate group of ATP, and it will become ATP to AMP. Now ATP to AMP is equivalent to 2 ATP and 2 ADP. Means ATP means adenosine triphosphate, AMP means adenosine monophosphate, and here ATP is getting converted into ADP, means adenosine diphosphate. Means when two molecules of ATP get converted into two molecules of ADP, it releases the same amount of energy which is being released in the formation of ATP to AMP. Means here also two phosphates are removed, and here also two phosphate, one from each ATP are removed. So ATP is losing two phosphate group and it is becoming AMP, or 2 ATP will be used and it will become 2 ADP. So these 2 phosphates will get added to the phosphoenol pyruvate to form the interpyruvic acid. 2 phosphates will be added and it will form phosphoenol pyruvate. Now one thing I have said, I think I have said wrongly, that this takes place in the night time and daytime. No, there is no night time and daytime here. In this mesophyll cell, there will be only the taking of carbon dioxide and it is incorporated into oxaloacetic acid, and then it is given to bundle sheath cell where the use of carbon dioxide takes place for the synthesis of glucose. So here with the C3 cycle, glucose will be synthesized in the bundle sheath cells, and in the mesophyll cell only the carbon dioxide will be taken from outside in the atmosphere. So this is how, when they are taking the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and the C3 cycle goes in the bundle sheath cell, they save the harm due to the oxygen concentration, because here there is no chance of oxygen concentration outside, because oxygen concentration will be here more, and so there is a chance of photorespiration, but because there is no glucose formation taking place in the mesophyll cells, so there is no chance of concentration of more oxygen, and so these plants save themselves from the loss due to photorespiration, and they are doing their main glucose synthesis in the bundle sheath cells. And because this anatomy is called as Crane's anatomy, because the anatomy of the leaf where the xylem and phloem vascular bundles are surrounded by specialized cells which are protecting them, and so they are called as bundle sheath cells. So what we will say, the Crane's anatomy is the anatomy where the vascular bundles are surrounded by bundle sheath cells. Now the next type of plants are the CAM plants. Now these plants are showing the crassulacean acid metabolism, and so this cycle is called as crassulacean acid cycle or CAM cycle. CAM stands for crassulacean acid metabolism. Now these plants are surviving in the xeric conditions. So they have a specialized type of stomata. They are called as scotoactive stomata. Now scotoactive stomata are the stomata which are open in the night and closed during daytime. Now by having such type of stomata, these plants are saving themselves from getting to the harsh temperate conditions, harsh temperature in the xeric condition. They save themselves from loss of water, etc. So these plants have adapted themselves to do the process of photosynthesis in a different way. So now because these plants are living in xeric condition, they need to save the water from the water loss due to transpiration. So they need the stomata to be closed during daytime, and that is why these plants have adapted themselves to do the process of photosynthesis or to intake carbon dioxide when the stomata are open during night time. So I have made the mesophyll cells during daytime and during night and during daytime. As the stomata are open in the night, carbon dioxide will diffuse in through the stomata. It will combine with water and it will form carbonic acid in the presence of enzyme carbonic anhydrase. Then this carbonic acid will dissociate into hydrogen and bicarbonate ions. Then this bicarbonate ions will combine with phosphoenol pyruvic acid in the presence of enzyme PEPCO. And PEPCO enzyme full form is PEPCO, that is PEP carboxylase or phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. So in the presence of PEPCO enzyme, PEP will get converted into OAA, that is oxaloacetic acid. I am writing this oxaloacetic acid, that is OAA. This is 4-carbon compound, and because first stable compound is the 4-carbon, so it is also called as C4 plant. Then the NADPH2 will give the hydrogen and reduction of OAA will take place and it will get converted into malic acid. Now this malic acid will accumulate in the vacuole during the night. Now when in daytime sunlight will fall, during the daytime stomata are closed, there is no entry of CO2, but the malic acid is there in the vacuole. So this malic acid will come out from the vacuole and this malic acid will combine with this malic acid will dissociate into PEP and CO2. PEP is 3-carbon compound and CO2 will be 1-carbon compound. So this CO2 will be available for C3 cycle, normal C3 cycle. So this malic acid will release CO2 which will enter into C3 cycle during daytime in the mesophyll cells, and there will be normal light reaction. From the light reaction there will be synthesis of ATP and NADPH2. These two will be utilized in C3 cycle and CO2 will be accepted by RUBP in the presence of enzyme Rubisco, and there will be the synthesis of glucose. This PEP will again enter it will be again available during night time for the synthesis of malic acid again. So this is how malic acid will give the CO2 for normal photosynthesis process, that is the synthesis of glucose. And the plants are saving themselves from getting harsh conditions of the xerophytic conditions by closing their stomata in the daytime, and during daytime they synthesize glucose, and opening the stomata during night. During night they get the CO2, harvest it into malic acid and store it for the synthesis of glucose during daytime. So this is how the CAM cycle takes place. And the plants which are doing this cycle, these plants are all the succulent xerophyte, because these plants are surviving in the xeric conditions. So these plants will be all succulent xerophytes. Then all the type of cacti. Then some members of Euphorbiaceae. This is also the xerophytic plant, Euphorbiaceae. Etc. So what is new thing you have studied here? Scotoactive stomata means the stomata which is open in the night and closed in the daytime. You can see here we have shown the closed stomata. So by this we have completed our the chapter photosynthesis and factors, etc. You all have already studied in class 10 and you will be reading from the book only. If any problem, then we will discuss it later. Otherwise this chapter is over. Okay, go on writing the all the topics which I have explained. Listen to the video again and again and write all the descriptions step by step, and try to learn the description with the help of cycle only. By looking at the cycle, you should be able to